gentlemen, from Tallahassee to Thomasville and from coast to Atlantic coast, it's time to wake up War Chant here on 97.9 ESPN Radio, and it's a very happy, oh, and I mean that one, very happy November 27th to you and yours. You're currently listening to the voice of Ryan Kelly. I'm the director of digital media at warchant.com. Drew Hickens sits on the other side of the glass from me. How was your Thanksgiving, man?
It was pretty good. How was yours?
Fine, good. Of course, good to be back home, see friends, see family, and anytime Rivalry Saturday goes your way, you're always smiling a little bit more after Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, we just couldn't quite have the perfect football weekend that we've been gifted with here past couple weeks.
Freaking Gabbert, Jacksonville. Freaking Gabbert. Are you kidding me? But you know what? Nope, not going to do it. This is a happy show. This is a wonderful show. There's a lot to get to in the college football world. Today's one of those shows where I almost wish we had like a 4-hour block to just keep talking, because I feel like we could fill the whole thing and not even have to think twice about what we were talking about. So let's get through this real quick and start dissecting this thing, starting, of course, with Florida State, Florida. Thanks so much for waking up with us here, 6 a.m., 97.9 ESPN Radio, TuneIn Radio app, WTSM app, ESPNTallahassee.com, all those places you can find it, podcast. Also, iTunes, Podcast Republic, warchantradio.com. Rate and subscribe. You know the deal there. Radio@warchant.com is your email address. @WakeUpWarChant's your Twitter account. And finally, For the Table, Madison Social, Central Township, Soto Banking Company. They keep us going. They keep the lights on, and we always appreciate that. So it's 5 in a row. I think more impressively than that, even though it's kind of hard to believe that's Florida State's first 5-game win streak in this series. More impressively than that, 7 of your last 8. Should probably be 8 of your last 8, but again, we're going to keep this a happy show. It's 4 straight in Gainesville for the first time ever. Of course, building off 3 straight in Gainesville for the first time ever if you're Florida State. And it was a game in which you thoroughly didn't blink. And you got worried about that in a game on the road in what was always going to be a tough environment. I mean, the way that the swamp is built acoustically, the place can be half full and it's still going to be loud. You just knew that this was a game where, James Blackman might be in a little bit of trouble. He plays a solid enough game for you. You get enough out of your offense. You get enough out of your defense. And at the end of the day, you just weren't the team that blinked. Florida blinked in every situation where maybe they have a chance of getting back in the game. Maybe they have a chance of tying. Maybe they have a chance early in the game to take the lead. And every time Florida had an opportunity to blink, they did. You didn't. You overcame that storm. And now for the 5th straight time, you are the best of the 2 state flagship schools in the state of Florida in the sport of football.
Right, and I think the thing that was most surprising to me was that Florida State was really unable to run the football against a Florida defense who has been just porous against the run.
They've been better at home.
They've been better at home, and they were okay against UAB. They were really good against UAB last week, but you thought to yourself, it's UAB. I thought Cam Akers and Jacquez Patrick would feast on that defensive line. I guess, granted, I didn't take too much into account of how bad our offensive line is at times. And you thought to yourself, if Florida State's not able to run the football in this game, things could get a little hairy because you're not really sure what you're going to see from James Blackman. He's been so up and down this year. I thought this was arguably the best game that James Blackman played against, obviously up to par competition, take away the Delaware State game and whatnot. James Blackman, if you take away the Florida State drops, which were... If I'm being generous, there are about 5 or 6 of them. I think if you really went back and looked, there could be more. I think Blackman finished 10 of 21 for like 128 yards. Give him another 7 completions. 17 to 21, 2 touchdowns. That's a pretty good day, especially against a Florida team that you've talked about. It plays better at defense at home.
They're much better in Gainesville, and I think the idea that he turns the ball over once, and even then the turnover's not his fault. Auden Tate bobbles that football, and he arguably should have caught it. I think with Auden Tate and as sure-handed and as good as he's been all year, you're going to let that slide, especially because you end up winning the game 38-22. But the point still stands for Florida State. Yeah, this was a road test that he absolutely passed 100%. There's no doubt about it. And your defense passed it as well. Every time they had a chance to make a play, it seemed like they did. And don't get me wrong, there were still a couple third down conversions that you didn't feel great about. And in the first half of this football game, especially when Florida's still hanging around, when it's tied, when Florida State has a 1-possession lead, there were some chances there to stop the run, and Florida was having success. They were hitting their gaps. They were doing what they needed to do. move the football. But you even give Florida State a little bit of credit that definitely got changed in the second half. The adjustments were definitely there. I talked about it with Gene in our post-game podcast. I feel like the only thing that you can really be horrifically upset for that Florida State defense is when Florida gets that score before half, because you really had a chance to bury that game right then and there, make it over, and make the final 30 minutes irrelevant. And instead, you're sweating most of the third quarter because your offense is having the trouble that it's had all year that you kind of understood, especially with Florida shutting the run down. And Florida's maybe got a couple opportunities. Now, granted, you answered the call from there, but I think that touchdown's about the only real thing that you can be horrifically disappointed in this defense. And even then, you won the game 38-22. I mean, there's only so much you can be upset about, even if that Florida team's not that great.
Right, 38-22 with a garbage time timeout. And, Florida State obviously had all those defensive scores, but again, Blackman's interception really shouldn't have been an interception. As you said, Auden Tate probably should have come down with that ball. I think there were two instances in this game where you felt like Florida could get back into it, and it was that 4th and 6 where they converted and ended up going on that 12-play, 74-yard drive right before the half. And there was the pick by Blackman where it was 7-7, and you felt like that defensive touchdown for Florida State was going to be erased, and you thought, okay, here we are, goose egg with two bad offensive teams. What could happen? Florida State obviously ended up showing up. I think really what you saw was, again, two bad football teams. Florida State clearly not very good, neither is Florida. But I think that regardless of how the records looked, the talent gap is still pretty wide if you look at the rosters. Florida State, the level of talent they have on both sides of the football, and if you equate that to Florida's roster, it's just not the same. And I think when you've seen time and time again this year when Florida State showed up against those bigger opponents and they're going blow for blow with Bama, granted with Francois, but still, you're going blow for blow with Clemson, Miami. I don't think that Florida team was capable of ever doing that, and you saw that against Georgia where they get blown out of the water. I don't think that Florida State team was just ever going to get blown out of the water against a really, really good team because they just tended to show up because the talent was still there. There's a lot of issues. Those issues will be corrected, hopefully, and that's all good and well, but again, the reason why I feel like the score was so lopsided and a lot of us, again, didn't see it coming was really because of the fact of the talent gap.
And here's the thing. I was going to hold off on this, but you know what? Let's have this conversation now because there's plenty of time to talk about it. When it comes with Florida and Florida State at the moment, you hit the nail right on the head. It's the talent gap. We were talking about it a little bit before we came on the air today, the idea that we were both at Florida, Georgia. We both saw what Georgia did to Florida, but you know what? Georgia's done that to inferior competition all year. It doesn't matter if they're a little inferior or a lot inferior. Georgia has kicked their butt. The only team that Georgia hasn't seemed like they've just thoroughly kicked their butt, at least in some point in the game, is Auburn. And by the way, Auburn beat the number one team in the country this last weekend at home against the Alabama Crimson Tide. So you kind of think nothing of that. But when you've watched this Florida State team all year, who, by the way, was a batted pass away from losing to Wake Forest and a shot at the end zone away from losing to Duke, who got embarrassed at Boston College, when you see that team go out and dominate Florida with all the facilities that Florida has, with all the, well, I shouldn't even say facilities because Florida is somewhat lacking behind in facilities. But the thing is, they've certainly got the money to fix that. They're about to pay the guy who lost the Egg Bowl this weekend $7 million to come be their head coach a year. With all the fan support that Florida has, with all the money that Florida supposedly has to go out and get just about any coach they want, how in God's name is Florida that bad? I know just about anybody who's listening to the show is not going to be complaining about it, and I don't blame you, especially after you had to hear towards the end of the Bobby Bowden era when Florida's riding on cloud nine, they win that 2008 title. Oh, you guys are never going to be at the level that Florida is ever again. And now Florida's at a far worse level than Florida State ever was. And as a matter of fact, one of the blogs over the weekend from Florida even said, well, when Florida's had their long 6-game win streak against Florida State, they were winning titles and they were winning the SEC. Yeah, I'd much rather lose to that team than the team that's going to be scraping to be 6-6 and had to reschedule a game to make that happen. That says everything about where this Florida program is, and I think it says everything about the mindset of this Florida program. There were serious problems with Florida throughout the entire Jim McElwain era. And yet every time one of those problems boiled to the surface, he would go back to, well, at least we won the East. Well, at least we did this. Well, at least we did that. There was no talent on that offense when Will Muschamp left that program, and he had the gall to say in his last press conference, I'm not leaving the cupboard bare for the next guy. Randy Shannon took over a team that got blown out by Mizzou just a couple weeks before they played Florida State and started to say, well, this is still the boys' school versus the girls' school, which, the misogyny and nonsense of that aside, especially considering that hasn't been the case for literally 70 years. You can talk about that all you want, but it's that stuff. And then it's stuff like what Felipe Franks had to say after the game when he's asked about throwing 3 interceptions and having 4 turnovers in the game. This is what Felipe Franks, now a guy who, by the way, has not played great football this year, had to say about doing that against Florida State, a team that, by the way, has not generated a lot of turnovers this year.
And no matter what I tell you guys, it's going to be, I'm going to go and then it's going to say the same thing. It's going to be twisted around and things like that. So turnover is a turnover. It happens in the game. Tom Brady throws 3 interceptions. I mean, anybody does it. It's just part of the game, part of playing quarterback, and that's what a lot of people don't realize.
What? By the way, Tom Brady hasn't had a 3-interception game since 2011. And I get it. Felipe Franks is a guy from our coverage area. He's a proud Wakulla War Eagle. Him and Keith Gavin had a lot of good times down there just a little south of Tallahassee. But the arrogance after the way you've played this year to come out and say, yeah, it's just a 3-turnover game and Tom Brady's had one of those before. Are you kidding me? And I think it says everything about where Florida is as a program right now. That plus the examples I mentioned before this. The idea that at some point you can't just say, well, we're Florida. Because if you don't back that up with wins, when you don't back that up with new facilities despite having the money, when you don't back that up with all those things that come with being a winning program, you end up the way Florida is right now. Because regardless of who they hired, and I don't think Dan Mullen's a bad hire at all, but regardless of who they hired, I'm not going to say it's going to get worse before it gets better for Florida, but it certainly is not going to be sunshine and roses for the next 3 years.
It is going to get worse before it gets better for Florida. And I think even if the Mullen hire goes well for them, it's still going to be another year or two before they're back to where they quote unquote think they are or where they will be. You really, Florida's main problem is the arrogance of their own program. They haven't been worth anything for the last 10 plus seasons.
It's the lost decade. It's literally the Florida lost decade.
You can call it the lost decade all you want, but Florida State's lost decade versus Florida's lost decade, I don't think they're the same. I think Florida State had much more. I don't think Florida State has ever been this bad for this long in recent memory. Obviously, you go way back in time, but Florida State's lost decade isn't as bad as this one. And Florida still is. It has this mindset of a war, Florida, and y'all are you're the little brother, and this and that. Florida, you had 2 guys publicly turn down your job. A job that is supposed to be a top 5 job in the country. What does that tell you about the state of your program and where you've let it go since Urban Meyer has left? Urban Meyer said that the program was broken when he left, and he wasn't wrong. It's going to take 10 plus years to clean this thing up, and the hiring of Mullen is nothing more than another 2 years at least of where Florida's not going to be winning national titles or even close to it. They're just they've fallen a long way, and they've got a lot of work to do. Now, that being said, I don't disagree with you that Mullen, it's not a bad hire, but it's a very underwhelming hire to a fan base that was looking for something to excite them. Chip Kelly, Scott Frost, both said no.
It's not quite Greg Schiano.
Yeah, it's not quite the Greg Schiano fiasco at Tennessee, but Mullen, like you said, just lost the Egg Bowl. He was struggling to beat an FCS team 2 weeks ago. And granted, I get it. It's Mississippi State, and how much are you really going to do at Mississippi State? And he has developed guys like Nick Fitzgerald and Dak Prescott and Tim Tebow and Chris Leak. I hear you. I hear all of that. But he hasn't always been. He's not a great recruiter. He was his only real claim to fame here is that he was the offensive coordinator on those Florida teams that were absolutely stacked, led by Urban Meyer, who we now know to be probably one of the top 2 coaches in all of college football. And now you hire him at a time where your program really needs kind of a shot in the arm. I think it's underwhelming. I don't want to get too far into the Florida hire, but,
Well, here's the thing, and here's what I'll sum that up with. Florida fans aren't going to want to hear this, and I know we don't exactly have a ton of Florida fans listening to our show, but Florida needs this because Florida needs a Ron Zook. And here's what I mean by that. Florida needs a guy who's going to recruit out of his mind. And I disagree with you a little bit on that whole recruiting idea, because if you can get decent talent to come to Starkville, Mississippi, you can get good talent to come to Florida. I'm not worried about that with him at all. But here's what I'm trying to say. A guy who will clean up the program, modernize it a little bit, and get the house in order to where the next time you're looking for a head coach, about 5 years down the road, you don't have two high-profile guys publicly humiliate you and say no. This is as higher about the next guy as much as it is about the guy right now.
And I think it also says a lot about, we talk all the time about, who's the best conference in football and this and that. The SEC is supposed to be the dominant conference, and you look at the coaches in that conference, and it's just not what it should be. And you look at the ACC.
Incest.
Yeah, and you look at the ACC, of which, a lot of people like to think of as, second or third best conference in the nation. The coaches in the ACC are bar none better than the SEC. And then the SEC goes and promotes a guy like Dan Mullen, who, again, I'm not going to completely argue with the hire, but, he's going 8-4 every year at best. And then Tennessee, barring a uprising from the fans, they were going to hire Greg Schiano, a guy who was okay at Rutgers, and I get it. It was
by okay, you mean a game above 500 and 28-48 at the death of the Big East in conference play,
right? And I understand that he's a respected defensive mind in football and this and that, but Tennessee, if you fancy yourself as this national power, Florida or Florida State or Ohio State or any of those schools would never, ever hire Greg Schiano. It would not happen. So the fact that that's what Tennessee goes and does, it's just it blows my mind that the SEC goes out and gets guys like this time and time again. It's a little ironic we're having this conversation just because of what's going on with Jimbo Fisher right now. But still, it's just kind of crazy to me.
You mentioned that and the coaching upheaval in the SEC and the ACC to a certain extent. It's not all sunshine and roses. Of course, Texas A&M finally showed Kevin Sumlin the door after 6 years. By the way, first of all, it's kind of hard to believe he was there for 6 years, but he gets shown the door, and of course that means the Jimbo Fisher rumors have ramped up. We have the latest for you from our own Gene Williams right on the other end of this break, so stick around. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I'm back. That little voice inside your head. I know you're busy taking care of business and all, but seriously, you need to know about all the Cyber Week deals at Office Depot Office Max. All week long, get up to 60% off select furniture and seating, and 50% off a wireless Epson printer, just $49.99. Plus, even more Cyber Week deals at OfficeDepot.com. Go ahead, you deserve it. Office Depot, Office Max.
Taking care of business.
Offers end 12/2, while supplies last.
It's the Ford year-end sales event.
I can't wait for you to meet my parents.
Yeah, can't wait. Oh, here's a spot.
Can you fit?
Just watch.
I am, and so is my family. Why are you taking your hands off the wheel?
And park.
The Ford Edge, with available enhanced active park assist, makes parallel parking very impressive.
They're gonna love you.
That's Ford, America's best-selling brand, now with exclusive holiday offers. Get 0% APR financing for 72 months, plus $1,000 Ford credit cash on select Fusion, Focus, Escape, Edge, and Explorer models. Hurry, offer expires November 30th, 2017. Best-selling based on 2016 sales. Driver assist features are supplemental and do not replace driver's attention, judgment, and need to control the vehicle. Not all buyers qualify for Ford credit financing. 72 months at $13.89 per month for $1,000 finance regardless of down payment. Take new retail delivery from dealer stock by November 30th, 2017. See dealer or go to buyfordnow.com for complete details.
AutoZone presents the oil change. Regular oil changes protect your engine from wear and tear, helping your car roll well beyond the 100,000-mile mark. Right now, save on 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic or High Mileage and an STP Extended Life filter for $26.99 or upgrade to a Mobile One filter for $3 more. So visit your local AutoZone. With over 5,000 locations, the right supplies and good advice are just around the corner. Let's get you what you need. See store for restrictions and details.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
I give to you easy laundry service from my friends at Wash Around the Clock. Oh, buddy, this is a game changer. If you're like me, your life is hectic. Between work, school, your kids' sporting events and activities, well, it leaves you precious little time to kick back and take a load off. About the last thing you want to do is hours of laundry, but there it sits, staring at you, taunting. No more. That's right. More watching, less washing. Save hours of valuable time when you sign up not doing laundry with easy laundry service from Wash Around the Clock. Whether it's dry cleaning or just plain laundry, Wash Around the Clock's easy laundry service will pick up and deliver at your home or office. So sign up for free today at easylaundry.net, or you can give them a call, 850-597-9007. Again, sign up today at easylaundry.net. Oh, and by the way, I got you. Use promo code JCS20 and save 20%. That's promo code JCS20. You're saving 20% on your first order. That's easylaundry.net from Wash Around the Clock.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan, and it's finally here. Black Friday, along with Nissan's and Star Wars Master of the Universe, month end and 2017 model closeout sale. All 2017 Rogues are $5,000 off MSRP. All 2017 Altimas are $6,000 off. All 2017 Maximas are $7,000 off. And all 2017 Armadas and Titans are $10,000 off MSRP. I said all, not some, with over 250 to choose from. How about new 2017 Versa S's for $10,990? With 5 available at this price, or new 2017 Sentra S's for just $13,990 with 7 available at this price. Did I mention that new 2017 Pathfinder S's and Murano S's start at only $24,995? Plus, during this sale, all new Kraft Nissans come with 2 years or 20,000 miles complimentary maintenance. And as always, all new Kraft Nissans come with our exclusive and the original lifetime warranty. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco, and we are open this Sunday. Prices include dealer preparation charge, must finance through NMAC.
Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio is presented by TNT Golf Cart Supercenter, your one-stop shop for all your outdoor entertainment. Here's Ryan Kelly.
Welcome back to Wake Up War Chant 97.9 ESPN Radio, a Monday edition on November the 27th. ULM week, but it certainly seems like there's another school on everyone's brain here in Tallahassee, and that's Texas A&M. Of course, all the rumors going around with head coach Jimbo Fisher. Our own Gene Williams joins us on the phone line now, the boss man, the founder and administrator of warchant.com. Gene, it doesn't even seem like you get to enjoy a win over Florida this season before somebody's talking about taking your coach or any sort of leverage or firing somebody or sending somebody to another school. This is crazy. This whole season, and you add this last month where this Aggie stuff just hasn't gone away. It's just weird. There's no real other way to put it. I'm trying to find a better way to put it, but at the end of the day, it's just weird.
Yeah, it's funny you brought that up. We had to get 5 minutes into the press conference on Saturday before our friend Mike Bianchi at the Orlando Sentinel had to, get on Fisher about the coaching rumors and start that whole thing up, and it seems like it's been nonstop ever since. It's one of the crazy things this time of year. You even have to stay off of Twitter because there's all kind of fake reports, hacked accounts, whatever you want to call them out there, saying all kinds of things, and even some people in the media putting stuff out there hoping to be the first to break something on the whole situation. So you're right. It has been absolutely crazy for the last, 48 hours or so. But the good news is I think within the next 24 to 48 hours, we're going to have this thing wrapped up one way or the other.
But I will say this, regardless of if you wanted to be over with or not, people want to know. And I'm not often one to bring up website numbers or traffic or whatever on the show, but it's safe to say when you look at some of those metrics, people are rather curious about what's going on right now.
Yeah, we've got now we were taping this the night before because I don't feel like getting up at 6, and I applaud you for Ryan for getting up at the crack of dawn every day. But yeah, we've got at this point about 170,000 views on the coaching thread. Updates we got going on War Chant, over 1,000 replies, and who knows, if this thing keeps going another day or two, that thing could probably hit 200,000, which is just might be the all-time record. So you're right, people definitely want to know. And obviously it's important. You've had a coach here now for 8 years. And you're concerned whether he's going to go or stay. And it's crazy to me. It's just like Groundhog Day. We were talking about that. It seems to happen every year around this time. Change the school name, whether it's Texas or LSU or Texas A&M, but it's the same situation. What's hilarious is you always have these reports coming from the other sites, covering the other teams that it's a done deal that Fisher's there. And I guess it's Jimmy Sexton doing a masterful job of letting these people leak this stuff out before it's really happening. And then it always seems to play out in a way, we can talk about this in a minute, but I still think at this point when we're taping this, Ryan, that he's staying at FSU. Most people at FSU seem to think he's staying that I've spoken to. Now, I still don't think he's definitively come out and told anybody 100% he's turned that down, but everybody I've spoken to, and it's at least probably a dozen people, they're all pretty adamant that they feel like he's going to be back here next season.
So let me ask you this, just based off the differences between Texas A&M and the LSU stuff from the last couple years. And it's the idea that, of course, Jimbo Fisher to LSU, when you look at it on the surface, is a no-brainer. It's one of the few jobs that you could make an argument is better than Florida State. It was a place that Jimbo Fisher, of course, has many ties to, that there were thoughts that he would want to go home to, and was about to fire a head coach that was offensively challenged, and Jimbo Fisher, of course, an offensive guy. Every single one of those boxes seemed to be checked, and it all definitely seemed like there was some actual smoke to the idea that not only would LSU want this, but Jimbo Fisher would want this. But on the other end, I don't think many folks outside of maybe a couple Aggie fans would argue with you that Texas A&M is a better job than Florida State. It's not. Of course, Texas A&M's last national championship came before World War II. Texas A&M is in a tough spot that they have to play LSU and Alabama every single year. They have the facilities. They certainly have fan support. But the idea there is that there's no real tie outside of Jimbo Fisher's tie to the athletic director. It just kind of seems like if Jimbo Fisher was going to leave A&M for anything, it would be the money. And, of course, those reports that he may have been offered up to $8 million by that team. Gene, that kind of seems to be what the difference was here. Is it's the idea that if A&M was going to throw a ridiculous number at Jimbo Fisher, I don't care how happy you are at Florida State, you have to listen. But now I kind of see what you're saying there when it comes to Sexton and the other side, is that you're starting to see those reports. Of course, a TV station in Houston reporting that there's an offer in place yesterday. All of that being said, do you think this is just another play from Sexton and Fisher's camp to get something out of Florida State? Or is this a real idea of, hey, there's X amount of money on the table, we have to listen to Texas A&M?
Well, first got to backtrack a little bit, Ryan. I don't think LSU is a better job than FSU. I still think FSU is a better job and that they've accomplished more.
I would tend to agree, but you could make a far better argument for LSU than you could for Texas A&M.
Yeah, that's fair. But, yeah, I think you mentioned the money thing. Obviously, that's a difference because the offer, if accurate, between 7.5 and 8, we've heard a couple different reports out of people out there. If that's accurate, obviously that's a substantial increase. I don't believe Texas has a state sales tax either, so I think it would be comparable. But I think the other thing that sticks out a little bit is the timing of the whole thing, where FSU was still doing pretty well. They've had really this is the first really tough season for Jimbo Fisher. And he's in a situation now where he's got to let some people go. And I know he's very uncomfortable with that. He likes the guys he's worked with. He works well with them. And I think he's dreading doing this. And he obviously hasn't had the best relationship with the media this year. So I think from a timing perspective, it'd be a little bit easier for him to jump ship and take the money right now for a program that wants him desperately, is willing to pay a lot of money, and then give him an unlimited check on facilities and staff and everything else he wants to get, which he has to fight for a little bit here at Florida State. Now, he's gotten everything he's wanted, which is one of the things I wrote about. But at the same point, I mean, he has to fight for it. I don't know how much he'd have to fight for there. I think they give it to him, at least initially, and if they can go out and win, they obviously get it to that point. But, yeah, I think there's something to be said. At least I think he lets his agent, who gets paid a lot of money, do his job. And his job is to build up the interest and get other schools interested in him, drive up the price, and potentially get the school he's currently at to make some concessions. Now, whether that's going to be in the form, and I think that's happening now because we do hear Jimbo Fisher is speaking with FSU President John Thrasher. It's ongoing. Their lines of communication are open. And so I'm guessing with that going on, they are discussing something that he's going to want. Now, that could be more support staff. Maybe he wants that standalone facility. I know he's wanted the one, not just at Moore, which I think most people want inside the administration, the booster, because it's a lot less expensive. But I think he prefers the standalone one, the spot where Hauser is. And, maybe that's something he's pushing for. Maybe he's pushing for a little bit more money. I don't know. I think we'll find out. Again, if he stays, something's going to shake out that he got something from the president in order to not take that Texas A&M job.
Here's the thing that kind of gets me interested, because there are two polar opposites to this. There are certain schools that just write a blank check to anything and it just seems like they can't win. Texas has not been able to win consistently since the end of the Mac Brown era. And, of course, they'll write a blank check for just about anything. And there are other schools. Now, on the other hand, there are schools that have plenty of money that sometimes get a little too big in their britches and, well, we don't need this, we don't need that. And I think the team that you beat on Saturday in the Florida Gators is a perfect example for that. And you shouldn't be either of them because those two extremes have been shown to not always get the best results. However, you have to ask in this situation, if that's really what this is, if this is Jimmy Sexton going to the bargaining table and saying, what can I get out of Florida State in a season where it looks like 7-6 is the best advantage, at what point does Jimbo Fisher run out of leverage? At what point can him and Jimmy Sexton stop holding one of the best jobs in the country hostage? Because regardless of how much fans like you beating Florida and having a 7-1 record against Miami and winning a national championship, at some point being at Florida State and at some point having the facilities that you do have, which are light years ahead of what they were when you got here, it's not like you're, running practice in a cornfield. At what point is enough, and you have to give up on your end rather than hold the school hostage and say, well, I need this, this, and this?
Well, that's why I'm really curious if this does get done and he stays at Florida State, what those concessions will be, because frankly, I'm surprised that he does have leverage. And I guess obviously University President Thrasher respects him a lot and wants him to stay here. The fact that maybe he's willing to negotiate more, even though he's one of the top, I guess I may have changed in the last couple of days, was one of the top 5 or 6, maybe he's dropped to about 7 or 8 with all the coaching hires that are going on every minute we talk. But yeah, that's a great issue. I'm surprised he does have that leverage if he does what we think. And, if he has another down season next year and something happens again, will he continue to have that leverage? I would imagine at some point he would lose it, but apparently he's done enough at Florida State that there's still some cachet that the administration still believes he can be successful here. And, maybe they're willing to pay him and or, give him some more facilities and some more toys. And just on a side, you brought that up, and I mentioned my column because SI had an article, I think it was about earlier this year, on the most extravagant facilities in college football. And 2 of the top 4 are some of the schools you mentioned, Texas and Oregon. And it really hasn't done them any good. Now, I know Clemson, your favorite, puts in nap rooms and slides and all that kind of nonsense, a bowling alley I think they have. But we all know that has nothing to do with them winning, and just as much as it has nothing to do with Texas underachieving the last 2 years. But I think FSU's done a fantastic job of giving the football program exactly what it needs, but not anything on top of that, that's good on their part.
Overall, Gene, there's so much to talk about. Of course, people need to stick with War Chant. We've got all that stuff, and we've got our not a recruiting board. It almost feels like a national signing day to a certain extent with all the rumors and hearsay going around. But, of course, we have our coaching hot board, and even if Jimbo Fisher stays, there's going to be some assistant coaching going on, so stick with that hot board. But for the folks who maybe aren't members of warchant.com at the moment, Cyber Monday sale, and it's as good a time as ever if you want some access to all this stuff. Gene, let the people know exactly what they're getting in that.
Yeah, as we all know, today is Cyber Monday, and man, you can. This is a one-day deal. Obviously, this is it, and these are limited supplies. So if you're hearing this and you're not a subscriber, get in there now. Just go into War Chant and sign up. I think there'll be a link you can probably see right on the top of the page, and the code is Cyber99. That's all one thing, Cyber99. If you get that, you get a $99 gift card to the Rivals team shop that has all the bunch of FSU gear and fun little stuff you can get on the Seminoles. So again, you get $99 free when you sign up to the team store, and that's Cyber99.
Important to stay informed with stuff like this, and of course, we're going to give you the best info out there. Boss man, thanks as always, and appreciate you joining us.
Hey, anytime. Thanks, Ryan.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's more on the other end, maybe some observations from this weekend. Stick around. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I'm back. That little voice inside your head. I know you're busy taking care of business and all, but seriously, you need to know about all the Cyber Week deals at Office Depot Office Max. All week long, get up to 60% off select furniture and seating, and 50% off a wireless Epson printer, just $49.99. Plus, even more Cyber Week deals at OfficeDepot.com. Go ahead, you deserve it. Office Depot, Office Max.
Taking care of business.
Offers end 12/2, while supplies last.
It's the Ford year-end sales event.
I can't wait for you to meet my parents.
Yeah, can't wait. Oh, here's a spot.
Can you fit?
Just watch.
I am, and so is my family. Why are you taking your hands off the wheel?
And park.
The Ford Edge, with available enhanced active park assist, makes parallel parking very impressive.
They're gonna love you.
That's Ford, America's best-selling brand, now with exclusive holiday offers. Get 0% APR financing for 72 months, plus $1,000 Ford credit cash on select Fusion, Focus, Escape, Edge, and Explorer models. Hurry, offer expires November 30th, 2017. Best-selling based on 2016 sales. Driver assist features are supplemental and do not replace driver's attention, judgment, and need to control the vehicle. Not all buyers qualify for Ford credit financing. 72 months at $13.89 per month for $1,000 finance regardless of down payment. Take new retail delivery from dealer stock by November 30th, 2017. See dealer or go to buyfordnow.com for complete details.
AutoZone presents the oil change. Regular oil changes protect your engine from wear and tear, helping your car roll well beyond the 100,000-mile mark. Right now, save on 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic or High Mileage and an STP Extended Life filter for $26.99 or upgrade to a Mobile One filter for $3 more. So visit your local AutoZone. With over 5,000 locations, the right supplies and good advice are just around the corner. Let's get you what you need. See store for restrictions and details.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
I give to you easy laundry service from my friends at Wash Around the Clock. Oh, buddy, this is a game changer. If you're like me, your life is hectic. Between work, school, your kids' sporting events and activities, well, it leaves you precious little time to kick back and take a load off. About the last thing you want to do is hours of laundry, but there it sits, staring at you, taunting. No more. That's right. More watching, less washing. Save hours of valuable time when you sign up not doing laundry with easy laundry service from Wash Around the Clock. Whether it's dry cleaning or just plain laundry, Wash Around the Clock's easy laundry service will pick up and deliver at your home or office. So sign up for free today at easylaundry.net, or you can give them a call, 850-597-9007. Again, sign up today at easylaundry.net. Oh, and by the way, I got you. Use promo code JCS20 and save 20%. That's promo code JCS20. You're saving 20% on your first order. That's easylaundry.net from Wash Around the Clock.
Look at that mouth. That poor, parched mouth. So dry. What'd you eat for lunch? Chalk dust? Did your mouth cannonball into a barrel of mothballs? You're being awfully quiet. Is that because your mouth feels like the business end of a Dremel saw? Is it because your mouth just wrote a haiku and all 17 syllables were dry heaves? You're so parched. You know it. I know it. The entire radio knows it. Just admit it. You want a Mountain Dew. Your mouth feels like it just inhaled the insides of a punching bag, and the only remedy is that neon green potion. Right now, your mouth could be tongue bathing in the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice-cold Mountain Dew. You know your mouth wants you to. Do the do.
Refreshment Services Pepsi announces that Josh Strickland has been chosen Employee of the Month. His hard work and willingness to help wherever he's needed make him a true team player, and that reflects the true spirit of Pepsi. Congratulations, Josh.
Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio is presented by TNT Golf Cart Supercenter, your one-stop shop for all your outdoor entertainment. Here's Ryan Kelly.
We did all our Florida talk at the beginning of this. I thought we were maybe going to talk a little bit more, but I think we said pretty much all we need to say because there's a lot you need to digest and unpack with some of this Jimbo Fisher stuff. So let's get right into this because, Drew, I want to ask you the same question I asked Gene there at the end of that segment. And again, our thanks to the boss man for joining us. At what point does Jimbo Fisher run out of leverage? I mean, I get it. You can always make your facilities a little bit better, but it's like we were talking about on the top of the show. It's not like Florida, who, basically told Jim McElwain, well, you don't need this IPF that's a full IPF, and we'll give you a half IPF because we're Florida. It's not like that happened. When you take a look at the football offices, when you take a look at the indoor practice facility, even just the practice fields, even if you got the IPF away, the practice fields used to have hoses and leaks and weird stuff sticking out of it, and now they're pristine. It's not like Florida State sat on their hands and done nothing. Jimbo Fisher's gotten pretty much everything he's ever asked for here. At what point, if you're John Thrasher or you're Stan Wilcox, do you just say, you know what, man? No.
And let me start off by saying, before I really get into this and be real about it, I do appreciate Jimbo Fisher. I don't want him to go. I respect everything he's done at Florida State. I think he's a top mind in college football. That all being said, in my opinion, he's out of leverage. Listen, man, I get it, Jimbo. I get where you're at. I know the facilities is a big deal to you, and it's a big deal in college football. But you went, assuming we win ULM, you went 6-6 this year. And in a season that I don't particularly care that Francois went down, you went 6-6. One guy does not change you from a national title contender where you have one of the best rosters in college football to 6-6. Now 8-4, sure, maybe I'd give you a little bit of slack. 9-3, whatever. 6-6 tells me that there's a lot of other issues going on in this program than just DeAndre Francois getting hurt. So in my personal opinion, Jimbo would be out of leverage if you asked me. I would say, listen, man, take it or leave it. You either want to be here or you don't. Jimbo should be grateful for everything that Florida State has given him up to this point, which is pretty much everything he's ever asked for. I'm kind of in the school of thought at this point. Listen, if A&M wants to come throw $8 million at him, have fun. If you want to go to Texas A&M and go 30-20 in conference play and get buried by Nick Saban year after year in the SEC West, have fun. But because Florida State can find somebody who wants to coach at Florida State. If you don't want to be here, then leave, because that's only going to bleed into your coaching staff and recruiting and all this other stuff. It's just not good for the culture or anything around the program. And again, this all being said, I want Jimbo Fisher to say, but if he doesn't want to be here, then leave. And it's year after year after year Florida State has to put up with this.
And that's the thing, the message you send to your fans there. And I mean,
and then you come out and talk about loyalty.
Jimbo. For all we know, it is Jimmy Sexton. I'm not here to point fingers or blame or anything like that. But here's what I am saying. If you are this fan base and this booster base who has opened up the wallet for all that stuff, and then it's like the old Creedence Clearwater Revival song says, when they ask how much should you give, the only answer is more, more, more. At what point do the fans become frustrated with
this? The fans
I think
are
you've
already
already seen it.
Yeah, they're already frustrated. They have to. I mean, who isn't?
And you don't blame any of them.
No. You don't, because it was a done deal to LSU the last 2 years. You thought that was finally over. They hired a new guy, got rid of Les Miles, and now it's Texas A&M, who, by the way, Florida State is you could arguably a top 5 job in college football. You know, you could probably say top 10 to be safe, but it's I would argue it could be a top 5 job in college football. Texas A&M is not even a top 15 job. It's just not. They have a ton of money. That's the only allure to them. But
they have a ton of money and a national championship before World War II.
Right. Texas A&M and Florida State are not even close to on the same playing field. So if Jimbo Fisher wants to go not even a lateral move, take a sub-lateral move to Texas A&M, where I am a firm believer in the fact that he would, ride off into the sunset there and just kind of disappear, then be my guest, because I fully believe that Florida State will still be Florida State. Florida State will be fine. It would be a college coach's dream to inherit the roster that Jimbo Fisher would leave behind at Florida State. None of the other jobs in the country that are opening up right now have anywhere near the talent that Florida State currently has on their roster.
And I hate to keep bringing it back to our first segment, but it's kind of like what we said about with Mullen being the right hire at the right time for Florida to make the job more desirable. Dan Mullen, in reality, if he does his job the way I think he should, to where he's maybe not the long-term solution, but he's there to clean up the program, if Florida's lucky, they have a program that looks like what Florida State looks like right now. There's a lot of blue chippers there right now ready to play football. There's some new facilities right there ready to play football. And Jimbo Fisher or no Jimbo Fisher, that standalone football facility is going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen where Hauser is. I don't know if it's going to happen where the Moore Center is. It's going to happen because Florida State thinks it makes sense with or without Jimbo Fisher. And as good of a job as Jimbo Fisher's done building this program, I think that can also be his weakness. And I know that's been discussed before, that Jimbo Fisher is a very good builder. He did a very good job of diagnosing what was wrong with the Florida State program and bringing it up to speed and modernizing it very, very quickly. But the problem is when you do that and you have been an okay sustainer after that national title, Florida State has trended downward since 2014. The record shows that. I think the product that's been put on the field certainly shows that. And I know some of that also has to do with you had a once-in-a-generational quarterback. You had a once-in-a-generational defense. I'm not dumb. I'm willing to concede that. But when it's trending a little bit downward, sometimes when you're a good builder and you've only been an okay sustainer, that can work not to your advantage.
Let me tell you what this move, if Jimbo Fisher were to go ahead and make it, would remind me of, but on a bigger scale, because I think both jobs are better, because it just happened, and I think that's exactly what would happen to Jimbo. It reminds me of Brett Bielema leaving Wisconsin when Wisconsin was doing well and moving to Arkansas, which a lot of people felt was a lateral to sublateral move. Now, Florida State's a better job than Wisconsin. A&M's a better job than Arkansas. So it's kind of on a grander scale. But Brett Bielema, 2-3 days ago, was just relieved of his coaching duties because he thought that he could go to Arkansas and turn Arkansas into some big, bad SEC power. Wasn't going to happen. If Jimbo really is that concerned with an extra $2 million a year, which I personally don't feel like he is, I think there's other driving forces in what he wants, which we've already talked about, then be my guest. I just don't think it's going to go. I don't think it's going to be for the best of the longevity of his coaching career. And that's just why I like I said, I just wholeheartedly believe that if Jimbo really wants to leave and he's so upset with how things are going at Florida State, I think it would tell you a lot of how the state of this program actually is right now versus what we all thought. That it wasn't just this outlier, and that 6-6, it really is greater issues than just Francois going down. And there's a lot of problems going on in there. If Jimbo Fisher is really willing to leave what he's built and the roster he has at Florida State, either that or he, like you said, truly believes that he's just a better builder than he is a sustainer, which may be true, but Jimbo Fisher is not a guy who lacks confidence in himself.
No.
We all know that. So if that's the case, then I just don't see him thinking to himself, oh, well, I don't know if I can do this job anymore. None of it makes any sense to me. I can't firmly believe that he would actually pull the trigger. I know it's real. And again, you brought up the fact that maybe it is Sexton. Maybe it is him but Jimbo's a grown man. It's like how
he can tell his agent to stop.
Right. And it's like how Scott Frost came out this weekend and they said, hey, what do you think about the Florida job and your representatives meeting, blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, I'm my own representative and I'll be with my wife and my kids. And and that's the end of that. That's how he addressed the Florida job. And it came out the next day that he wasn't interested. Now, granted, everybody has their own way of doing things, and I'm not necessarily knocking Jimbo for never wanting to discuss jobs to the media, because that's fine. But when it gets up to this magnitude, and it's for the third or fourth year in a row at a school like Florida State, who just doesn't have to put up with this, it's just crazy that we do time and time again. It's just, I feel like, and maybe this is wrong of me to say, I feel like Jimbo Fisher needs Florida State more than Florida State needs Jimbo Fisher. That's just how I personally believe at this point in time of how things are trending. And there are some pros to it. We talked about it earlier. Obviously, the massive buyout. If you're able to get rid of that and off your hands, if you really think things are trending downward, then this is something that would solve that issue for you.
Yeah, and I mean, what happens if you bring in a whole new staff? If you bring in basically just keep one or two guys, you hit the reset button, you're still loaded with talent. I mean, we already talked about that. The talent gap between Florida and Florida State, two teams with similar records, is outstanding. The talent is still here. What happens if that doesn't succeed and you're stuck with another 7-5, 6-6 type record next year? And you've still got that buyout to face. That's tough questions that Florida State's going to have to look at in the future. We put a bow on it after this. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Still looking to revel a little bit in that Florida victory. Well, of course, our friends at For the Table have you covered. Madison Social, Central Township, they have the best happy hour in town from 3 to 7 every day. 3 different bars, 3 different experiences, one great deal, all right there in the heart of College Town with our friends at For the Table.
This holiday season, make the smart choice and switch to Sprint and get a new Samsung Galaxy S8, S8 Plus, Note 8, or S8 Active with 50% off your lease. That's right, the hottest Samsung devices 50% off. Plus, with Galaxy Forever, you can upgrade to the latest Galaxy anytime after 12 lease payments. And when you switch to Sprint, you get the best price for unlimited. $25 per month per line for a family of 4, plus get a 5th line free. That's 50% off Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. You also get 10 gigabytes of mobile hotspot in HD, so you can stream your favorite holiday movies, music, and games. So stop by your local Sprint store, sprint.com/holiday deals, or call 1-800-SPRINT1 to learn more.
Requires 18-month lease and new line savings via monthly credit applied within 2 bills. Early termination results in remaining balance due after 1/31/19. Pay $38 a line per month with autopay. Excludes taxes, surcharges, and roaming. Compared to Verizon Beyond Unlimited rates, AT&T Unlimited Plus plan, and T-Mobile One Plus plan for 5 lines. Carrier features differ. Coverage and offer not everywhere. Subject to credit and $30 activation fee. Speed maximums, use rules, and restrictions apply.
It's the Ford year-end sales event.
I can't wait for you to meet my parents.
Yeah, can't wait. Oh, here's a spot.
Can you fit?
Just watch.
I am, and so is my family. Why are you taking your hands off the wheel?
And park.
The Ford Edge, with available enhanced active park assist, makes parallel parking very impressive.
They're gonna love you.
That's Ford, America's best-selling brand, now with exclusive holiday offers. Get 0% APR financing for 72 months, plus 1,000 Ford credit cash on select Fusion, Focus, Escape, Edge, and Explorer models. Hurry, offer expires November 30th, 2017. Best-selling based on 2016 sales. Driver assist features are supplemental and do not replace driver's attention, judgment, and need to control the vehicle. Not all buyers qualify for Ford credit financing. 72 months at $13.89 per month for 1,000 finance regardless of down payment. Take new retail delivery from dealer stock by November 30th, 2017. See dealer or go to buyfordnow.com for complete details.
Monster Energy, welcome to Rockville. Florida's biggest rock experience has returned. April 27th, 28th, and 29th with over 50 bands, including Foo Fighters, Ozzy Osbourne, Avenged Sevenfold, Queens of the Stone Age.
Like the way you used to do.
Welcome to Rockville, the biggest 3-day rock festival to ever hit Florida. April 27th through the 29th with Foo Fighters, Ozzy Osbourne, Avenged Sevenfold, Queens of the Stone Age, Godsmack, Five Finger Death Punch, Breaking Benjamin, Stone Sour, Greta Van Fleet, plus the one and only Billy Idol. Go to WelcomeToRockvilleFestival.com for all ticket, VIP, and festival information. Foo Fighters, Ozzy Osbourne, and so much more. Welcome to Rockville, fueled by Monster Energy Drink.
Today, when you buy any golf cart at TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, they will deliver it to you for free. Yes, free delivery within a 50-mile radius of Thomasville and TNT Supercenter. This means you, Tallahassee, and you too, Valdosta. And it gets even better. For a limited time, when you purchase your cart at TNT Supercenter, you'll receive huge discounts, up to 30% off on all your accessories. We're talking major discounts on wheels, tires, lifts, seats, you name it, on everything you'll need to customize and personalize your new golf cart. TNT Supercenter has new carts, pre-owned carts, club car and Yamaha carts, even Star EV carts. And when you buy today at TNT Supercenter, they will deliver it for free within a 50-mile radius of Thomasville. Are you listening, Valdosta? Did you hear me, Tallahassee? Over 150 carts in stock with free delivery and huge discounts on accessories. Only at TNT Supercenter, US 19 South, next to the Dairy Queen in Thomasville. View inventory and pricing at TNTSupercenter.com.
TNT. Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio is presented by TNT Golf Cart Supercenter, your one-stop shop for all your outdoor entertainment. Here's Ryan Kelly.
Doing that thing you do.
Here, Wake Up War Chant 97.9 ESPN Radio. Ryan and Drew getting ready to hand it on over. Not to Mike and Mike, to Golick and Wingo. A new show premieres today. How about that? But enough of the Disney corporate synergy stuff. Let's talk a little bit of basketball. We've only got 2 minutes here, but I did feel remiss if we didn't mention that Florida State won again on Black Friday, and they did it against a Citadel team that likes to run, just like Florida State does, and doesn't quite have the athletes that Florida State does, and it ended about as poorly for the Citadel as you thought it was going to.
Right, and, there was obviously some injuries in the game as well. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Florida State moves forward here with obviously the little tougher part of their schedule coming up. I know Florida's coming up in a game or two. I'm really interested to see how this team is able to compete with a team that's obviously a little bit more proven than a Citadel. I really, really like MJ Walker Kevin Galley continues to, I'm sure I butcher his name every time I say it, but he continues to impress me. He rebounds the hell out of the basketball, can score. This team all around, it's fun to watch. Again, it's not as talented as it was last year, but they're still a lot of fun. And it seems like they gel almost a little bit better than they did last year.
Better cohesion. They're a better jump shooting team. They're certainly a better defensive team when they want to be. This is a really fun squad, and I agree with you. The step up in competition is going to be a welcome change with Rutgers on the horizon and Florida on the horizon. I'm getting worried about that Florida game just in the idea that I feel like you were better with a good post presence in Christ. Now he's out 4 to 6 weeks with that lower body injury. Who knows what MJ Walker's status is going to be. But it's a good basketball team. I'm not telling you it's a Final Four caliber. What I'm telling you is they deserve your attention because they're lovely. Drew, thanks to you.
Thank you.
Thanks to Gene Williams for joining us. Thanks to you guys for listening. Golic and Wingo, subs next. 97.9 ESPN Radio.
The big game is almost here, but you can't afford to go because ticket prices are through the roof. Don't worry, we got your back. Anytix.com offers you the lowest price tickets, guaranteed. Anytix.com doesn't mark up tickets. Anytix.com has zero. That's right, no buyer, seller, or service fees. For a small monthly fee of $9.99, you get access to all their wholesale tickets. Go to Anytix.com today. That's Anytix, T-I-X-X. Enter the coupon code ESPNTally and get 20% off your subscription. Anytix.com, changing the way you buy tickets.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the makers of the toughest utility vehicles on Earth, can give you the best year-end deal on Earth. Let Mahindra show you how to get tax savings on your new Mahindra XTV and get cash back and savings up to $2,500 on select clearance models.
North Florida and South Georgia's authorized Mahindra dealer is TNT Supercenter, US 19 South in Thomasville, and at TNTSupercenter.com.
Offer with approved credit. See dealer for details. Program restrictions may apply.
Football season is here, and it's time to score big and get in on the action with MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is an industry-leading website and the best place for you to cash in on all the insane last-minute drives, huge upsets, and heart-pounding finishes. Join now, and MyBookie will match your deposit with up to a 100% bonus. They have in-game live betting on nearly every sporting event, plus a user-friendly mobile site so you never miss a single play. Are you sick and tired of getting the runaround when you ask for a payout? Come join MyBookie today. With decades of expertise, no hassle payouts, and no fine print, you'll experience the greatest customer service in the business, guaranteed. Use promo code RADIO to activate your bonus of up to 100%. Call 844-900-2387 or visit mybookie.ag to open an account. That's 844-900-BETS or go online to mybookie.ag and use promo code RADIO. Win with the best only at MyBookie. Sign up today.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer. 574-4100. And presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia. And Franklin Spring Creek Ford. Seminole Headlines, presented by Capital City Bank.
You're damn right.
Catch Jeff Corey and Ira each Tuesday night from 5 to 7 p.m. right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Do you like video games, live music, dancing, and having fun with your friends? Swing by the new Fire Betty's, located in Midtown on Thomasville Road and 5th Avenue. Not only can you quench your thirst, but now Fire Betty's offers a new fun food menu as well. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. There's something fun going on every night, from trivia on Wednesdays to live music on Fridays, hospitality nights on Thursdays, and unique music video DJ Saturdays. Come take a trip down memory lane and make some new ones too. Happy hour at Fire Betty's is Tuesday through Saturday from 5 to 8 p.m. And don't forget about Sunday Fun Day with the NFL Red Zone, liquid brunch and drink specials all day, starting at 3 p.m. For catering or private parties, message Fire Betty's on Facebook.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. Thirsty? They have the Lucky Sevens, $7 domestic pitchers after 7 p.m., 7 days a week, $7.95. Daily specials. Locally owned and operated since 1978. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill. 3 locations to choose from. 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.